The year was 2489, and humanity had spread across hundreds of star systems. Massive cities floated above oceans on distant worlds, and faster-than-light, travel-connected civilizations separated by thousands of light-years. Yet despite all the technological wonders, kindness remained the rarest resource in the galaxy. On the remote frontier colony of Arcan 7, a human mechanic named Ethan Cole lived a simple life. He wasn't a soldier, explorer, or famous scientist. He repaired cargo ships for miners and traders who passed through the dusty settlement. Life on Arcan 7 wasn't easy. The colony sat on the edge of explored space, where supplies arrived only once every few months. Food was often rationed, and work was difficult to find. One cold evening, Ethan sat alone inside his small metal cabin. His monthly credits had nearly run out, and all he had left was a single ration pack. The meal wasn't much: a protein loaf, a nutrient drink, and a small fruit imported from Earth. It was supposed to last him until the next day. As he prepared to eat, a storm raged outside. Winds screamed across the rocky plains, while red dust struck the walls like tiny bullets. Then came a knock. Ethan frowned. Nobody visited during a storm. He opened the door. Standing outside was a woman unlike anyone he had ever seen. She was tall and athletic, wearing damaged black armor covered in strange symbols. Her silver hair hung across her face, and glowing blue blood dripped from a wound on her shoulder. Most surprising of all were her eyes. They shone like liquid gold. The stranger looked exhausted, hungry, dangerously weak. Before Ethan could speak, she collapsed. He barely caught her before she hit the floor. Hours later, the woman awoke on his bed. She immediately reached for a weapon that wasn't there. "Easy," Ethan said. "You're safe." The woman scanned the room. "You are human. Last time I checked." She narrowed her eyes. "Why did you help me?" Ethan shrugged. "You looked like you needed help." The answer seemed to confuse her. She looked around again. No prison restraints. No guards. No interrogation. Ethan laughed. "I don't even know your name." The woman sat quietly. Finally she said, "I am Lyra Voss of the Valkyrie Dominion." Ethan nearly dropped his repair tool. Everyone knew the Valkyrie. They were one of the most feared warrior races in the galaxy. For generations, stories described them as unstoppable fighters who conquered entire worlds, and now one was sitting in his cabin, hungry, wounded, and completely vulnerable. Lyra's stomach growled loudly. Embarrassment flashed across her face. Ethan glanced toward the small table. His ration pack sat there, the last food he owned. For a moment he hesitated. Tomorrow would be difficult without it. Then he remembered how weak she looked. Without another word, he placed the meal in front of her. "You need it more than I do." Lyra stared at the food, then at Ethan, then back at the food. "You are giving me your meal." "Yeah, but you are poor. Thanks for noticing." "No, I mean." She seemed genuinely confused. "Why would you sacrifice your own survival for a stranger?" Ethan smiled. "My mother used to say that character isn't measured by what you keep. It's measured by what you're willing to give away." For several seconds, Lyra simply stared. Then she slowly began eating. To Ethan, it seemed like a small act. To Lyra, it changed everything. What Ethan didn't know was that Valkyrie culture revolved around honor debts among their people. Saving a warrior's life created a bond stronger than contracts, laws, or even military commands. And sharing one's last meal carried even greater significance. It symbolized absolute trust, the highest form of respect, a sacred gesture rarely performed even among family members. Ethan knew none of this. The next morning, Lyra was gone. Only a small metal coin remained on the table. Its surface displayed a silver phoenix. Ethan shrugged and placed it in a drawer. Life continued. Months passed, then years. The encounter became little more than a strange memory, until everything changed. One afternoon, warning sirens erupted across Arcan 7. People rushed into the streets. A fleet had arrived. Not one ship, hundreds. Gigantic warships darkened the sky. Panic spread instantly. Everyone assumed an invasion had begun. The governor attempted to contact the fleet. No response. Then thousands of armored soldiers descended from orbit. The colony prepared for the worst. Ethan stood among frightened civilians as a massive landing vessel touched down near the central square. Its ramp lowered. A figure emerged. Silver armor, golden eyes, The crowd fell silent. Ethan recognized her immediately. Lyra, except she looked completely different, confident, powerful, royal. She walked directly toward him. Thousands of soldiers followed behind her. Then something happened that shocked everyone. The mighty warrior knelt before Ethan. The entire colony gasped. "I have returned," she said. Ethan blinked. "Returned," Lyra smiled. "To fulfill my honor debt." The governor nearly fainted. "What honor debt?" Ethan asked. Lyra stood. Her golden eyes softened. "When I arrived on your world, I was fleeing assassins. My own political rivals believed I had died." She paused. "I was heir to the Valkyrie throne." Ethan stared. "You were what?" "The future ruler of the Dominion." The crowd became completely silent. Lyra continued. "When everyone else would have turned me away, you saved my life." Ethan rubbed his forehead. "It was just a meal." The soldiers exchanged shocked looks. To them, those words sounded absurd. Lyra smiled gently. "No, Ethan, it was far more than that." She explained the meaning of the sacred gesture, the honor bond, the ancient tradition, the significance of sharing one's final meal. Ethan suddenly understood why she had never forgotten. Years earlier, he had unknowingly participated in one of the most sacred customs of her civilization. "But why bring an entire fleet?" he asked. A hint of amusement appeared on Lyra's face. "Because I am now Empress of the Valkyrie Dominion." The crowd collectively lost its mind. She continued, "And because there is something else." Ethan suddenly felt nervous. "What?" For the first time since arriving, the powerful Empress looked uncertain. Among humans, she had learned there was a custom called love, something her people rarely discussed, something she had spent years trying to understand. Yet, every time she thought about loyalty, sacrifice, and trust, she remembered Ethan, the poor mechanic who gave away his last meal without expecting anything in return. "I have crossed half the galaxy," Lyra said softly. "I have commanded fleets. I have defeated enemies. I have ruled billions." Her voice became quieter. "But I have never forgotten the human who showed me kindness when he had nothing." Ethan felt his heart race. The crowd watched in stunned silence. Lyra stepped closer. "In my culture, such a bond is eternal." She took his hand. "And if you are willing, I would like that bond to become something more." Ethan looked into her golden eyes. He saw strength, honor, warmth, and genuine affection. The answer came easily. "I'd like that too." Cheers erupted across the colony. Even the soldiers smiled. Months later, the wedding became one of the most famous events in galactic history. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations attended. Humans and Valkyrie celebrated together. News networks called it the Union of Stars. But Ethan always found the attention amusing, because while historians wrote about diplomacy, alliances, and political significance, he remembered something much simpler: a stormy night, a hungry stranger, and a single meal. Years later, when people asked how he managed to win the heart of the most powerful woman in the galaxy, Ethan always gave the same answer. "I didn't. I just shared my dinner." And somewhere beside him, Empress Lyra would smile, take his hand, and quietly add, "The greatest warriors conquer worlds, but the greatest hearts conquer souls." Together, they proved that in a galaxy filled with advanced technology, powerful empires, and endless stars, one simple act of kindness could still change the fate of civilizations. And sometimes, the meal you give away today becomes the love story that lasts forever.